Okay, cool. We are live. Another exciting episode, another great episode of the Legacy Lounge podcast. Today, I have my friend, my brother, Kenney Emmanuel. Man, awesome guy, awesome guy. So he's going to break down a few things for you, talk about the next level you, but let me just introduce you to Kenney real quick. He has over a half a decade of experience in the financial industry, successfully retired 150 people, successfully set up 112 estate plans, educated over 3,000 families on financial strategies, ranked nationally as a financial professional at, you know it, Universal Wealth, and he's a licensed financial professional both at the state and federal levels. My goodness, Kenney, what you got to say for the people? First of all, welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. There's no better time than the present. It's an honor. When you reached out to me and said, hey, you know what, Kenney, I want you to speak on my podcast. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna do it, right? Because we all got a message, and it's all about how do we get the message out there, and how do we go help a massive amount of people that are looking for our message, right? So, being a partner, or we're collaborating with Universal Wealth. I realize that's the company that's going to get the message out there, and we're looking to just help not only people be able to retire, but help people that want to make another stream of income to be able to live the life that they want. And that's the opportunity that's here at Universal Wealth. And 5 to 10 years, people is going to be like, man, I wish I took the chance on Universal Wealth, because they spoke to Tino, spoke to Kenney, and they didn't pull the trigger, right? So if the guys think about pulling the trigger on Universal Wealth, I'm telling you, pull that trigger, because you're going to wish you had pulled it in a few years from now.
Yeah, so I know when we were talking before, you were saying how success is more about who you are than what you do. So tell us a little bit about Universal Wealth, like who we are.
Yeah. So who we are as a company is very simple, right? We are savages with integrity. Andre, which is our CEO and founder, he always say this: we are savages with integrity, right? At the end of the day, we're in business, and people are looking to compete with us at the highest level. So, we are going to go and compete with anybody. We could go toe with every single company, but we're going to do it with integrity. We're going to do what's right. If we do see a client that we cannot help, we won't say we could help you without actually being able to help you, because at the end of the day, your legacy is a responsibility that Universal Wealth is looking to help. And as a responsibility for your legacy, we want to make sure that we don't take that lightly. So it's very simple. Here at Universal Wealth, whoever client that we work with, we know that we take your legacy very delicate, and we want to make sure that we keep that at the highest level, make sure that whatever happens. I was speaking not yesterday, on Monday, at the Commissioner's Office of New York State. And, one of the things that I noticed is that, there's a lot of people that come through that door, and they're just trying to get money, right? Hey, I'm going to come here with this curriculum, and I'm going to get some money, and I'm going to half produce, I'm going to have help. I was able to work with them and strike the partnership with city of New York, all 5 boroughs, and then being able to help with Rochester, being able to help in Buffalo, which is with underprivileged kids, and also being able to help single mothers as well understand what financial planning is, and the kids being able to understand what money is, right? You're adult, and they don't even have a bank account, right? They don't even know how credit works. They don't even know how to budget themselves. So being able to work with those people, and when they ask me the price point, I'm like, listen, I do it for free if you guys don't have the budget, right? Because I make enough money here at Universal Wealth that I'm willing to give this information out, because if I had this information when I was their age at 16, 17, 18, I would be further than I was before. So partnership is not free. They decided to pay me, but initially that was my mindset going into it: is whether I get paid for it, I'm going to give 100, 1,000%, or if I don't get paid, I'm still going to give 100 or 1,000% to these kids, because they are the future, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, I don't know what's wrong with these kids nowadays. Well, these kids are a reflection of us, right? We was the generation that came before them, so we are the example. And the only thing I could do is set an example for those kids, and being able to go help them. If money is involved, are you truly doing the thing that you want to do? If money involved, are you really helping people? the way you say you want to help people if you don't get the things that you want, which is the money. So I measure wealth in multiple different currencies, and one of the ways I measure wealth is fulfillment. It might be to
Mm.
help somebody that cannot help me. Oh, that's a form of wealth within my perspective. Is all right if I measure wealth in family, fitness, faith, you know, and fulfillment. Well, I got paid from a fulfillment standpoint, and that's another currency in my book.
Yeah, because when it comes to wealth, especially when it comes to wealth and legacy, a lot of people like to think of it linear, like, oh, it's just me, my family, my children, my grandchildren. But you don't realize that your legacy can spread out. You know, like you're saying, talking about something that doesn't impact you directly, but it impacts all the people that you're serving, which is then going to impact so many other people. Man, that's powerful right there.
Yeah, it's a domino effect, right? Every decision we make produce a new season. And the domino effect behind that, we may be around to see the domino effect, or we may not be around to see the domino effect. But it's always going to be an effect of a decision
Mhm.
that we make. And I try to make as much decisions, the best decisions I can with the people in mind. I don't make decisions from a selfish space. A lot of times you do got to be selfish and selfless, but from a selfless standpoint, I try my best to do that, because I never made a decision um, being selfless that I regret.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Oh man. Okay. You never made a decision being selfless that you regret. How did you get to that mindset, man?
How did I get to my mindset?
Yeah.
Oh man, a lot of dark days, man. A lot of being by myself, recreating myself in the dark. I already knew this was gonna happen. Like 8 years ago, I already knew where I was gonna be because I was intentional, and I
So
understood.
what happened 8 years ago?
Um, I decided to change who I wanted to become. I think a lot of times people look in the mirror and they don't like what they see, but
Hmm.
after they don't like what they see, they go back to being the person that they don't like. Well, I looked at myself in the mirror. I said, "Hey, I didn't like the way I am. I didn't like the way I treat people. I didn't like the way I was connected. I didn't like the way my life was." So I decided to go and become a whole nother version of myself, and that's through self development, right? We all have the ability to grow, but the only difference between we all have the ability to grow, and the only difference between the person that grows and the person that they want to be, and the person that grows whether they don't want the person that they want to be is intentionality, right? We're
Yeah.
gonna grow whether we like it or not. The only difference is when we grow or when we get to that point, are we happy on being the person that we are? Most people are not happy with the person that they are because they're not intentional of growing that person. Like we always talk about in universal wealth, when we educate our clients on the financial principles, we always talk about the rule of 72, right? How your money's able to double, how your debt double. Well, I have the rule of 72 as well in my mind, but from a self-development standpoint,
Mm.
I put in 1% of the effort, every 72 years, I'm going to double, right? In terms of me becoming the version I am. But if I put
Yeah.
6%, 12% effort, I'm going to have a compound effect 10 times faster, maybe every 2 years or every 3 years or every 4 years. The more you put into yourself is going to compound, right?
Yeah.
So, understanding when I was younger, I didn't, I knew I was, I knew, when you think about vision, things are created twice, first in your mind and then in reality. But the hardest thing is, how do I get to that completed vision? It may take 5 years, it may take 6 years. It's all about patience, right? Because anything that's worth having it takes time, right?
Hmm.
Being able to have that patience and go through that development and focus on failing forward, it was very difficult, very so much dark days that I could talk about. But we all had dark days. I'm not special. I know I'm just a person that decided to be very intentional about growing myself, because you know when you become more, then you have the ability to bless others. So everybody I encounter, I'm able to help them, and they able to help me because of my early self development phase.
So in those early days, I know you said the first step was being intentional, making a decision, making up your mind. What was the thing that how did you take that first step? Because whether we're in the personal development side or whether we're talking about finances, it's still taking that first step, like how you said, that compound effect going on. So give the people just like a little a little boost, a little nudge, a little nugget to just get that momentum started?
Yeah. I'm a very transparent and authentic person, right? I pride myself to be on that. So when I was younger, like everybody do, they go through they have a relationship and it didn't work out. And when I ask people around me, hey, how do I get over a breakup? Man, go talk to more girls, go party, get out there. I'm like, all right, perfect, right? You might remember I said early in this conversation, they asked, hey, what happened to the next generation? Well, we are a reflection of the person that came before us. So the
Yeah.
person that came before me is the people that came before me is, hey, go out, party, enjoy, get it, go distract yourself. I'm like, all right, great. That's what the person that said before me. You've been here before. You got more wisdom than me. I'm gonna go and do it. So I started going down that path that a lot of young men go, or a lot of people go down that path when they deal with that type of situation. And I'm not happy. I wake up the day before sick, and I wake up the day before less happy every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up leaving. I used to work for a company called Hertz, and I got fired. Right, and in the midst of getting fired, I continue that cycle of going out and doing what I'm doing. And I go broke. I only had $20 to my name at that time, and one of my favorite spots when I was in Brooklyn or New York is the pier. Right, I'll go down the pier, and I was just walking. I would just think, right,
Mm-hmm.
how do I change this? On the way back, I look up, I see Barnes and Nobles. I'm like, man, I never read a book that I ever wanted to read. The only books that I ever read was the books that gave it to me, like it was given to me through the educational system. And I didn't read it, I didn't even finish it, right? Because I didn't want to read it. I had no desire to read a book
Yeah.
that I didn't want to read. So I walked in there, I seen self-development. It was like it was straight out of a movie, Tino, because it's like everything just literally just went dark and the self-development light was just there. Self-development, what's that? Is that a new genre? I'd never seen that. They
Yeah.
never brought it up in school.
Yeah. Oh man.
They
Yeah.
never brought self-development. If you really take a step back, they never talk about self-development as a genre in school. Why is that? Because if I become more, like whoever control the information control the people. Now, if I give you the ability to have the identity of self-belief within yourself, I can't control you because you have the ability to think and say, wait a minute, the system that is here or that cycle that they put us in, it doesn't work because I become more self-aware. So one of the books that I read, I picked up was John Maxwell. It was 15 Indisputable Laws of Growth. And one of the things that I learned was self-awareness. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm 19 years old. No, I'm 20. No, I'm 19. I'm 18, 19. I can't remember the age, right? Getting up. And I'm like, wait a minute. What is self-awareness? Nobody told me self-awareness before. And I'm like, all right. I started reading self-awareness. I'm like, let me look at my situation. Am I really aware of the situation? I started learning accountability, perspective. If I was in that person's shoes and I did what I did, or there's also a cause and effect. There's always a body of things that happen for a person to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't just one thing for that person to make a decision. It's a body of things, and that's from life, right? And I'm like, man, maybe I did have some mishaps and hiccups and with dealing with this person I was younger. Perspective, and I learned that from 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And it took me a long time to learn perspective from seven habits of highly effective people, because I don't know if you ever read that book, but there's like a picture of an old lady and young lady, and I'm trying to figure out. It took me a week and it says a lot of times we're looking at something and that's not what we're looking at. I'm like, man, am I looking at the situation the right way? What is my perspective? Let me put myself in their shoes and see how I deal with that situation. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, oh, I understand why now. I'm self-aware. Now I have perspective. So perspective drives performance, and perspective is actually a perception of the information that you got. So my perspective shifts because my perception of my situation changed based off that body information I received. But I was willing to receive it, and I was willing to apply it. Without knowing, I grew 1% from just knowing those two things and embodying it and dealing with people. right? Because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, we're always going to deal with people. So that's one of the ways that I was able to, start kick off my self development phase. And a lot of times I got weird, right?
You got weird.
Not weird in a way where um, I got weird to the people that knew me. Man, Kenny
Mm.
is not doing the things that we do. Kenny's not interested in these conversations because I realized it wasn't serving me no more. So
Mm.
not that I became weird as an individual, I became weird to people that once knew me. Because a lot of time when you're looking to change, the people that knew you, they have a certain perception of who you are. So I had to not cut them off. I had to distance myself, right? Because if I'm looking to grow into the 2.0 version of myself or 2.3 version of myself, I need to be able to be around people that support that environment, right? Because environment is strong in nature. So even though I could be around these people and I have a different mindset, the environment is support the new person I want to become. So it was going to always set me back. So I had to distance myself from, the people I was around. Not that it was bad people, it's that I had a bigger vision for myself. And, I didn't want nothing to bring me back, which is the conversations. That's not who I am.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
what you're saying was, one, you sought knowledge. Two, you became self-aware. And then three, you had to distance yourself from your old ways, your past, the things that you were normally doing, because you're like, oh, I'm aware now that these things aren't serving me. So I have to create, like that season of separation.
Yeah, and when I say I went through some dark days, that's the days I'm talking about. Because imagine you have a group of people that surround you, that love you, that care for you, and you
Mm-hmm.
decided to distance yourself. And it's not that, it's a double. If I could go back, I would be able to have more. I would have a conversation, right? Because a lot of times when you're young, you don't know how to communicate
Yeah.
those emotions,
Yeah.
right? So you just distance yourself, and people care for you. People like, these are people that love you, people that care for you, and you distance yourself could hurt them. So as I
Mm.
get older, I'm like, man, that's the only thing I regret. And being at my age now, I went back and I apologized and I explained, right? Because I think the highest value of life is a relationship, whether it's to be with a significant other or whether it's to be with your friends and family. So I had to explain the reason why, because just because I was dealing with that doesn't mean they was dealing with that.
Yeah.
They really was my friends. It was really, they had my back. So yeah. So I healed some relationships, and a lot of times people don't know how to have uncomfortable conversations.
Mm.
I love having uncomfortable conversations because
Oh man.
everything can be fixed with a conversation. If we're men, right? Talk about being a man. If I don't like you, or if I'm dealing with the situation, I'm gonna come see you. I'm not gonna do it over the phone. I'm not gonna do it over Facebook. I'm not gonna come to podcast and talk about things that I don't like. It doesn't make sense for me. So I had to go and meet with some old people that I was, still friends with, and I have to apologize. Hey, my bad. I'll apologize. I was going through some things, but I'm good now, right? And now we nothing, like, never left, and they grew. Now they
Yeah.
going through that journey of period of darkness and separation. But I understand it because I went through that, and I give them. I'm very empathetic towards that, and I understand. So that's pretty much that component.
Yeah, that changes your world view on a lot of things, because I know sometimes dealing with people from the past, you're looking at them through the lens of their past self, and you went through your journey and they going through their journey. And so now you have, it creates a whole new relationship as the newer versions of yourselves on both sides.
Yeah, and also, people is able to meet you as far as they meet themselves.
Mm.
So I tend to meet people where they are, right? As I get older, I meet people where they are. I don't force my perspective. I don't force certain things on people. I just love people. So I meet people where they are, and then we could go
Mm.
from there. Just because you're not where I'm at, or I'm not where you at, that doesn't mean we can't connect. Like,
Yeah.
if we take away the money, we take away the status, there's some very, very amazing people in this world that's worth
Oh
having a conversation with.
man, that reminds me of this. Like, you, and this goes for everybody, you are a wildly unique individual. There's nobody on the planet who is like you. Even though I was born and raised in New York, but you and I have different experiences. nobody has the same exact experience. Everybody's a unique individual. But then at the same time, we're all human. We are all people. We are all having a human experience, which on one hand makes us unique, but then on the other hand makes us 100% normal. So, like how you said, taking the money, taking the status and stuff out of everything, we're all just people. And that gives you a great ability to connect with them.
Yeah. And the hardest thing is to focus on growth when you don't have money, right? So how do,
Oh,
how do
man.
we how do we grow? But if you take a look at the Maslow needs of hierarchy, how do we grow if we don't have that?
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest challenge. I was fortunate enough to have parents that were successful and that was able to fend, so I didn't have to worry about shelter. But everything else I had to worry about, and within yourself, that could cause a conflict.
Yeah.
So I was able to detach myself from money. I had to focus on who I needed to become, because the marketplace is never going to pay you based on what you think you're worth. The marketplace is going to pay you based on what you're actually worth, and that's a person that's able to solve problems, the person that has skill sets, the person that's worth something. The money is not worth nothing. You become valuable, and the money is what you attract from being valuable. So even a lot of times when I was younger, I didn't have a lot of money in my account, whether it was I was negative or had less than $1,000. That didn't affect who I was and how I showed up in different rooms, because I know I was just one connection away to changing everything. But I need to walk into my authentic self. I need to walk into the room as my most valuable self, or be valuable to a person. And that was a whole game changer, because as you can see now, I don't want to talk about numbers, right? The IRS might be listening. I don't want to talk about numbers, but I'm naturally ranked for a reason. You don't get there by not producing, right? And it doesn't matter how much money I make. How I deal with people is how I deal with people. Because when I was younger, I detached myself from money. So whether I had it or I didn't have it, it didn't really mean anything to me. It still doesn't mean anything to me. The only thing that money is used for is for pay the bills and etc. The most valuable asset is you, Tino, because they don't print another Tino. There's only one of you. They print money every day. So we could always make money. We could go broke today, and I could go have a good relationship with you. We could go build something so great that produce a massive amount of wealth.
Oh, for sure.
How to put the money over you? Will I have that running mate? I wouldn't have that running mate, because most people value money over people, and they get it, and they look around and say, "Oh, it's only at the top." Who did you help him? Who did you bring alongside of you? If money is the biggest asset in life, then that's not an asset in my book. So
yeah, because I know just being in this industry, and yes, we do talk a lot about money, but it comes more down to the mindset and growing as a person. And I know when I talk to some of my old friends and stuff from the past, or people outside the industry, telling them where I'm going, they're like, "Oh, that's great for you, but there's going to be this big gap between you and I." And I'm just like, guys, you see where I am, you see where I was, you see where I'm going. There's nothing stopping you from doing the same thing. And again, going back to how you said being lonely at the top, again, it's all about who did you bring up there with you. Nobody wants to be up there at the top just by themselves. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's a funny story, right? And I did this year is just one of the best years of business for me. And I got there, and I turned around. I'm outside. I'm like, man, I have nobody. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not growing people.
Yeah.
So I have what, about 15, 16, 18 new advisors. Since 2 months from now. It's not that I didn't want to grow nobody. Is that a lot of times, I'm a person where I put 1,000% in anything I do, and that's with helping people. You can't. The worst thing a girl that I'm looking to talk to or marry is for her to tell me her goals. You know what I'm saying? Don't tell me. Don't say, "Hey, babe, I want this. What you want? That? You sure you want it? Yes. All right, let's go get it. Right?
Let's go get it.
like, don't tell me your goals, and don't because I'm going to go and give you 1,000% to make sure that we get that, because I have my belief of accomplishing things is really really I think I could accomplish anything with a group of people that have the ability to have the same vision and have some skill sets worth having, the same core values. But don't tell me you want to accomplish something, because I'm the person. They always say you need that one person to believe in you. I'm that one person.
Mm.
That's everybody that want to do something big. Let's go do it,
Yeah.
right? Going back to the team, and I was able to connect with people, to be able to work with them and build them up and grow them, because I had the desire to actually do it, right? Because it's not about, nobody want to die with an empty eulogy, because it's just like, what have you accomplished on this earth, whether it's going to be for 30 years, 40 years, or 80 years, 100 years? Who have you impacted? Right? I went to a few different funerals this year, and one of the funerals that I went to was one of my cousin grandmother, and this lady, it was like, when talk about Madison Square Garden, packed. We had to stand up. People was outside.
Yeah.
She wasn't the richest person from a financial standpoint, but she was the most wealthiest person in terms of connection and value, and being able to help people. And people never forget when how you helped them. And I took that, and I added it, and I say, all right, she didn't have the most money, but she had the most impact.
Yeah.
You may
So
not need, yeah.
I tell all my clients this. Like, again, when it comes down to legacy, you may not be the person in the world history books. You know, I didn't learn about like your cousin's grandma in school, but that didn't stop her, and it doesn't stop anybody from creating a powerful legacy that impacts people. Man, if you said it was like you outside, man, she must have been doing some
Sardines.
things.
You
Yeah.
like sardines in there.
Oh
It was
man.
crazy. It was a good moment, and I had to take a step back, and I had to reevaluate of like, all right, what am I chasing, right? Because every time you become more successful, or every level that you get, you have to manage it, and sometimes you have to manage your perspective. Not only just managing the wealth or managing relationships, you have to manage your perspective on what's important, right? And I have to manage that. I'm like, wait a minute, what's important for me at this time in my life is, how do I go and have a significant impact on people? How do I go and give people opportunity, but have discernment on who to give the opportunity to? Because knowing who I am as a person,
Oh
of,
man.
I'm going to give you 1,000%, but I can't match your 500. I need you to match me or go beyond, right? Like Darnell, for example. Darnell
That's
is
my guy.
he's an amazing individual, and he's about to have the most, talk about quantum leap, right?
Yeah.
Quantum leap, and I spoke about Darnell on what quantum leap actually is. Quantum leap is when you don't have all the decisions, or you don't have all the. I put it this way: when you open a door of growth, and a person see the door and like, oh man, it's dark down that hallway, right? And they're like, you know what? They shut the door and they leave. He was going to leave the business. He was going to leave Universal Wealth, and stop doing it, because he was so discouraged, because he would step through that, he would look through that door of growth, and he didn't see no light. I'm like, Darnell, let's open that door together. Let me
Yeah.
help you. Because you reached out to me and you said, listen, I'm ready to win, and I was going to leave this business, but I came to Arizona and I met you, and you're the reason why. I feel like you were the reason why, you were the person I needed to meet. Don't tell me that, because now it's time to grow.
Oh man, that's
All right.
amazing, because all those dots connecting,
Correct.
the story to even get to Arizona, then to me,
Yeah, and I'm like, all right,
you
cool.
gotta have a story.
Let's reopen that door of growth. Let's pull that door open. But let's take a step. Let's take a step together. We took that first step. Another light. The light came on. Another step. Another light. Now he texted me. He said, "Man, I appreciate you. I'm so fired up. I'm so motivated. I didn't have a good day in a while. 1,000%. If you reach out to me, I spoke to him. I spoke to him every single day for about 2-3 hours at nighttime after I finished my day. All right, this is what you do. Matter of fact, jump on Zoom. Let's build out on how you're able to go and approach people based off of your authentic version. Well, it sounds like you're not being you. So now you try to be somebody else, and you can't show up in this world, talk about finance, and be somebody else but you, because this relationship, this business is based off of authenticity, of being authentic to yourself. So if you're not authentic to yourself, you're not going to actually get the results that you want to get, from my perspective, right? And I could
Hey,
be
no,
wrong,
that's 100%.
but being you, and because we look at information is only valuable until we embody it. And if we embody it and try to be somebody else, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. So if I'm double-minded on who I want, on this information, I'm like, I should be this person, I should be this person, but you forgot about your essence of you, then you can't connect, because
Mm,
what makes you unique is what you are as an individual. So, and now he had a role meeting, he had another role meeting. We set up a meeting with me and another person. It's just, we keep going, and this all happened within 72 hours.
yeah. Oh man, it only takes 3 days to change your life.
Yeah, 'cause I'm intentional, right? It's this difference between training and development, right? Training is more logical. How do you put a deal in, right?
Hmm.
How do you go and talk to a prospect? Perfect. But development standpoint is what happens before you go and talk to that prospect, or go networking, or go connect with people. Who are you as an individual? Do you show up as your authentic self, and do you know your story, and do you know how to connect that story and articulate that story so you could connect with the individual on a personal side? Then they say, all right, what do you do? Like, remember you asked me, hey, I don't like, it's a difference between who you are and what you do. Who you are is who I connect and what I lead with. I never lead with what I do, because it could be irrelevant to certain people I talk to. So if we go in these rooms and say, all right, you ever go to a networking event?
Yeah, yeah. I was about to say, give. I was about to say, you need to give the people the sauce on that one, because there's a whole lot of networking going on, and it's just like,
You ever go to a networking event, right? And I don't drink. I drink a little bit, but I don't drink at networking events, because I go there for a specific purpose, right? I
mhm,
casually drink. But you ever go to a networking event and you see people, and they walk up to you and say, hey, what do you do?
yeah,
What are you, the IRS? What the hell? Chill, bro.
yeah, yeah,
Relax. Like, let's have a conversation. Like, I said, what I do is irrelevant. How about you get to know who I am and see if we are able to connect? Because if we can't connect of who we are, then it doesn't matter what I do, because I may not even want to do business with you, because I don't like you as a person, and that's my every right. Right. So I was speaking to her now. I'm like, listen, when you go to network event, lead with who you are, lead with your story, then connect what you do, because
mm,
now people actually are interested, because nobody care about what you do until they like you. If I don't like you, I don't trust you, especially in this business, I'm not going to work with you. Doesn't matter how smart you are, is, do I like this person?
yeah,
I always tell advisors, don't let the money inflate your ego. This business, you're going to make a lot of money in this business, but this business force you to have humility. Doesn't matter if you have $1 million, you still have to go help the person to be able to help them retire, or help them do whatever they want to have in place. But
hmm,
it gotta come from a place of love and humility. Because if you let your ego get too big based on how much money you have in your account, you would never make another dollar in this business. Because if they don't like you and they don't trust you, you don't have a client.
yeah. So help us out real quick. When you're at a networking meeting, and you're like, okay, you know, telling people who you are, what is it that you tell people?
I just try to connect, right? I just try to find something more. Either we have something in common, and I build off of that, and I mirror the conversation, right? And or I just be just I don't try to go. I don't try to. I like to have very authentic conversations,
Yeah.
and I don't go into networking events trying to script out conversations,
Hmm.
because you may miss the connection, because you're trying to find a specific outcome in terms of like trying to get over. It's not trying to get some over somebody, but it's trying to get something from somebody. And your words could lie, but your energy would never lie.
Hmm.
So when I go to networking, I just be my authentic self and try to connect as much as possible. Hey, what's up? Who are you? Oh, what do you get in this business? Why do you get in this business for? What's the meaning? What's the purpose behind it? If you could like my core values, I like to be vulnerable and say, hey, my core values are X, Y, and Z, and the reason why is because that's how I live my life. Man, they know my core values, and that might be enough to connect with somebody and say, hey, I have the same core values, and that's how I like to do business. Well, what type of business you're in, and what's the purpose behind your business? Is it to just make money, or is it just to make, or is it to make an impact? Right? I'm in the business of making an impact and also making some money. Right? Nothing is free.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Because that reminds me of when I go into networking meetings, I really look for an opportunity to be vulnerable. Because I realize like once you're able to just open up yourself a little bit, then life in the world kind of opens up for you. And for me, I know I had a hard time. I was very guarded, but now I'm more like, hey, if you have that moment of vulnerability, people will be vulnerable with you, and then everybody will open up.
Yeah, and how do you expect people to have compassion and empathy towards you if they don't know who you are?
Yeah.
Right? People say, "Oh, you should be empathetic. You should treat me like a nice person." Well, who are you? Like, what's your story? How do I have empathy and compassion outside of just being a human? If I can't connect with you, I don't know.
Yeah. How do I know you're a nice person?
I don't know. I like how. What's your story? And like you said, we like to lead with being vulnerable. I think the highest, uh, not the highest, but I think it's selfless to be vulnerable, because as a world, most people don't like to be vulnerable because when they put them walls down, they end up getting hurt. But that's a
Mm-hmm.
part of the process of life. If you're afraid of getting hurt, then you're afraid of connecting. So I'm never afraid of putting my walls down, and if a person made the mistake and fumbled me, is that my mistake or is it their mistake? Because you just lost a real genuine person that actually want to help you and to have not only the resources but the relationships in place that's want to put you in position. So if you fumble that relationship, you just fumble your blessing.
Mm-hmm.
So I never bleed on somebody for something that they didn't do.
Yeah.
So if a person, I could be a networking event and a person threw me off, I'm not gonna go with my walls guarded up with the next person. It's not their fault. And I think a lot of times people in the society, when they do get hurt, you got to have caution on how to deal with people. But you have to also understand, if you think in your mind that you are a good person, then there's other people, there's other good persons, other good people out there in the world. You're not the only good person in this world. So go out and connect with some good people. But the only way you're able to connect with good people is to be able to be vulnerable, give people opportunity, and then you know how to process those emotions after.
Yeah. Man, you're hitting on a lot of leadership principles in this conversation. And one of the things that we talked about earlier is be, do, have. And so we're talking a lot right now, especially about being, be vulnerable, be aware. How does that lead to the doing?
Yeah, I'm getting ready to launch my curriculum. It's called the B 2.0 version of yourself. It's for financial professionals, and when it comes down to that framework, like, life is all about becoming. Like Andre, during the last event, he said, "Let me tap in."
Yeah.
Right? What is he tapping into? He's tapping into being and being present in that moment.
Yep.
I gotta be who these people I'm looking to empower be currently. Like it's all about, I need to be that CEO. I need to be that bird. I need to be the most authentic. I need to be the most present and be the most selfless version of myself right now, because these people are looking at me, and they came to this event with an open heart, open mind, and it's a responsibility, because I'm going to influence these people. So I have to be nothing but the best version of myself being, right. In order to be that version, you must know who that version is, right. What do you stand for? Where you're going? What are some characteristics does that person that you want to be have, right? A lot of times, if you don't, I always, one of the things in my curriculum, I'm trying not to go too deep into it because I'm getting ready to launch it.
Hey,
But
just give people a little hors d'oeuvres, a little appetizer, a little taste.
I'm before you pursue anything, before you be anything, you must define it first.
Yes.
That's it. How do I define what I want? Then I could work backwards, and I could break it down in small, minute steps. Whether it's gonna be being that person, doing what that person need to do, and having the thing that you want to have. How do we define that in all those three areas, and how do we go and pursue that? So one of the principles within the becoming the 2.0 curriculum is before we pursue anything, we must define it first. So it takes a great deal of planning and preparation to be able to accomplish certain things.
Yeah, that's really good because I know even with talks with my family and my wife, and I'm always like, okay, let's establish a foundation. What do these words mean? What is the definition of the thing that we think we're talking about, to make sure we're both on the same page and have a clear view and understanding of what we're talking about. Especially, oh man, a client recently told me, he was like, you know what? You think about money differently. Your beliefs about money is different than my beliefs about money. And the hardest part about getting into, because I'll tell you the story. He's in a position where his retirement is going to be set up so that he'll be making more money in retirement than he did the last 40 years of work. And one, he didn't ever think he would get to this point. But then two, now it's like, now that the money is not an issue, what do you want to do? Who do you want to be? What do you want to have? And he was realizing like, oh, my beliefs about money are different, because if I didn't come to you, I would have spent it all.
Yeah.
Just been done. Now I'm adopting a whole new mindset. And I'm just like, man, to see somebody get to a next level of growth at 65, I'm like, wow, this journey could be long and amazing if you let it.
Yeah, but let's stay there real quick, right? On you, the reason why he had the ability to change perspective on money is because you became another version of yourself, or you became a more
Oh, for
involved version of
sure.
yourself, right? So a lot of times when I always say this, hopefully I don't mess it up, right? We deter other people's blessings by not pursuing the things that God has for us, right? Whether it's that vision, right? And the vision of the higher version of Tino, if I wasn't able to pursue that, then the person that you affected would never be affected by you.
That goes back to the people coming behind you, like when you're talking about the generations.
Example. The best thing I could do for a person is be an example of what it means to do this business at the highest level, or people I'm leading. It's an example. It's the standards, right? So amazing, brother. That's a big deal right there. Don't take that lightly.
Oh no, man, that because he was able to express that, it opened my eyes and shined a light on how many other people think that way. Working all their lives thinking like, okay, there's really no hope, only because of my thoughts and my beliefs about work and money. And then now that I have adopted a new set of beliefs, I have a new standard of life.
Correct. And there's no amount of money that could fulfill that feeling. That's an amazing feeling right there. Being able to, somebody asked me, hey, why do you work so much? I don't even know. I don't know if I'm working or not. I haven't worked in like 5 years. I don't feel like I'm working.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, do you take a break? What are you talking about? Take a break. I'm working every single day, and I'm having impact on people.
Yeah.
I read a book called The Business Secrets from the Bible. And one of the things that it mentioned in that book, one of the principles, or one of the quotes, I should say, it said, whether we like it or not, we are all codependent on each other in the society to make it run.
Yes.
So right there, that changed my whole perspective on how do I go and have a positive impact, whether it's gonna be small or big, right? And whether you have, an impact that's able to touch millions of people,
Mm-hmm.
or you have impact that's going to touch, a centimeter, or a centimeter versus an impact, you're still going to have impact, because at the end of the day, you may not see the impact that you have on these individuals, or that one person or two person, because it's a generational impact.
Yeah.
And the people that's going to come behind him is millions. So you like, oh man, I only had an impact of two people, but that's for right now. But what about the generation that's going to come behind these people, these two people that you had an impact on? It goes back down to perspective, right?
Yeah.
If I talk to two people, or help millions of people, I'm still helping millions of people, whether it's noticeable or whether it's not. It's like the iceberg, right? Like success. People only see where you are, but they don't see the thing that it takes to become successful. Same thing with what we do. We may have 2 clients or have 5 clients or have 200 plus clients, but whether you have 2 clients or 100 plus clients, you're still having a significant impact. But
Yeah.
people that have 2 clients, thinking from perspective of the iceberg of when you're looking at success, is like you don't see the other things that it takes a person to go through to become successful, or you don't see all the things that it takes right now because it's in the process of development. So that's my perspective on things.
Yeah, going back to the iceberg, I also like to think of it as a tree.
Yeah.
You don't see how deep those roots go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially when a storm comes and that tree's still standing, like those roots are strong and deep. And all work works. You may not get the desired outcome, the result that you were looking for, but it's still working on you to at least keep going. So, man, that's powerful with the whole development thing. Man, Kenny, you got to talk about that a little bit more for people, man.
What, the development?
Yeah, because a lot of times people keep looking at the have and they're forgetting about the be and the do. Because sometimes I'll do this. If I'm talking to somebody about a particular thing, I go back and I ask them their beliefs on something. Like, let's just say, I don't know, golf. If it's like, okay, what is it that you believe about golfing? What is your mindset and your philosophy on golfing? Because if I could tap into that, then, I'll understand a little bit more when it comes to like the technique. So one example of that, I went to Top Golf, and the guy was like, man, you have a great swing. He's like, but one of the things that you forgetting, keep your eye on the ball. I never applied that to golf in my life, but I just looked down, kept my eye on the, because he's like, when you swing, he's like, you keep turning your head this way. And he's like, you're driving a lot of power through your swing, but you're not keeping your eye on the ball. So the ball's going anywhere. So I started swinging, keeping my eye on the ball. Bam. I was like, oh my goodness.
No, it's out of here.
Yeah. Change that little thing.
Yes.
That little thing.
Yep. And I go back to Darnell and we're working together, and it's a blessing for him to give me the opportunity to work with him, right? So I think people give me the opportunity to work with them because he's like, well, he's my dad, right? No offense, Darnell, I apologize.
Hey, he big bro, he uncle.
We live right now, and I'm like, yo, Darnell is old. No, but it's a blessing, and to be able to help him, and I always, I have a mentor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And his name is Scott Miller. He's the former president of Aeropostale. How did I get that mentor? Is another story.
Oh man,
but
I gotta tap into that one.
He's my mentor, and as we talk on a weekly basis, one of the things that we spoke about last week was training versus development. He said, listen, I have 4 vice presidents under me, at about 250 plus employees direct that I was overseeing. He's the most common things that businesses don't have nowadays in this new era. They don't have a development program.
Mm-hmm.
They don't develop the staff. They don't develop their employees. He said, Kenny, there's a difference between training and there's a difference between development.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're right. And I went back and I'm like, all right, how do I develop my new advisors? Not just train them. How do I develop them? Well, I have to bring them to the understanding of you need to become the 2.0 version of yourself. Development. I'm not talking about nothing about life insurance, talking about nothing about finance, annuities and IRAs. I'm not talking about nothing about that. We have that situated already.
Mm-hmm.
We got that. We got a great platform that cannot be messed with. We could go toe to toe with a lot of companies,
Yeah.
but they can't go toe to toe with us, right? So we have that. But my mind says like I didn't create something more from a development standpoint. What's the rule? Please help me because I'm forgetting. Is it from the business from this business turnover? How many advisors are successful in this business?
8%.
8%. Why is that?
Because 92% fail.
Why?
Why? If you ask the agents, it comes down to leadership and development. People just don't feel like they got enough of what they needed to be successful.
Exactly my point. I look at that number and I'm like, if we're challenging everything in this industry as a company, we got to challenge that. How do we raise that number up?
Yeah.
Like our company is so unorthodox, it's multidimensional, right? And a lot of people don't understand it because it's not meant for them to understand it. So we're gonna challenge everything. How about we challenge that 8%? How about we challenge that percent? And
Oh,
that's where my mindset is. Oh, let's challenge. Let's go get those numbers up. Because if we get those numbers up, we really own the industry.
yeah. Yeah. That goes back. So you said training and development. And to bring it to our industry, it's the difference between just recruiting and building. You know, it's like, okay, you recruited somebody, but you didn't necessarily build them. You know, you trained somebody, but you didn't necessarily develop them.
I love Andre, right? I always tell him. I first met him. I'm like, I love you. He's like, I just met him, right? I met Andre in New York at this quantum event, and I came to the after event that they was having, and I was at the bar. I didn't drink. I was just focused on what I got to build, and I started going through the process. I'm like, yo, this is how I'm doing like $10,000 plus a month, right? Which is process. I'm just vertically integrating. He looked at me. He said, I'm doing that. He said, but I was able to articulate it.
Yeah.
I broke down into the science, and I'm able to articulate it. So one thing he said, yeah, I could work with you. I'm like, he is the person that understand it, but he took it and went through a whole nother level. That's why I'm at Universal Wealth, and we're challenging everything, and I'm gonna challenge that 92%. Why not? Everything rises and falls on leadership.
Yeah.
People have to understand, like, if I want to be able to have a significant impact on people's lives, I got to look at the 90% and say, how do we just bring that 90% to about 89% or just 90%? It don't have to be a significant difference, but that 2% is probably like 80,000 people.
And those 80,000 people, man, they will affect and change so many lives. I can't, it baffles me to think just like the people who've come into the industry, the 92% that have come in and gone out. I'm like, the people who are connected to them who need the help that are now lost.
Yeah, I'm challenging things. I'm a disruptor. Like that's why I'm here. We are disruptors, and I want to disrupt the whole industry. I want to disrupt everything that people look at and say, "Oh, that's just how it goes." Says who? Who said that? Why do I don't want it to go that way? I'm going to challenge that. Oh no, don't challenge because it's gonna. Then I'm gonna deal with whatever comes at that point in my life. I'm gonna deal with it. I'm not afraid of anything.
Yeah, if you don't challenge it, it won't change.
So my purpose and my as a builder and as we build our company together as a team, is how do we challenge the 92%? And really write that down. How do we challenge that 92%? Well, the curriculum becoming 2.0, if I'm able to just get the people that come through the doors, and we could help them become another version of himself, or forecast another version of himself that they have to go and chase every single day, it's over.
Yeah.
The EBITDA is gonna go crazy. The evaluation of this company is gonna shoot up because not only we have our own systems, but we have a strong foundation of agents that's being able to produce, right?
Yeah.
And it's strong.
Man, I'm excited and looking forward to that day. Anything that I could do to, again, like, I never thought about it in the way of directly challenging the 92%, but that's exactly what it is. That's how, when you boil it down, that's what it is.
Yeah, and it goes back down to the principle. We all have a role in this society. It doesn't matter if you're helping two people or you're helping millions of people. Those two people are going to be affected by you helping them on a positive level.
Yeah.
So I'm challenging that. And I put my goals out there because I want people to hold me accountable. Right? I think it's important for people to know your goals because I want them to say, "Oh, Kenny put this out there and he accomplished it," or he put it out there. This dude was talking a lot of. He's talking He talk big.
Yeah.
I know. I got big energy. You know what I'm saying? I do got big energy because I understand my hustle. I got big hustle as well. I'm gonna go, and I have a framework to say, "Oh, if I'm gonna challenge this 92%, where do I go? I go back to my core principles. Be, do, have. Oh, I got to become another version now.
Yeah.
I got to redefine who I need to be to go to pursue that 92%. That's the formula.
Hey, let me ask you this, Kenny. What is your favorite quality about yourself?
Man, my ambition is ridiculous. I gotta tone it down sometimes. It's just like
Nah.
my ambition. I love my ambition. Like that's not my favorite quality, right? My favorite quality is my belief. I got unwavering belief. Like it's like
man, Andre said it. Like, I was thinking about this morning. Impenetrable faith.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that.
Man.
But yeah, my belief is it's like belief in people and belief knowing that I am the master of my fate and I understand like everything in this life that we look outside was created based off of a person being crazy enough to think about it and also being crazy enough to do the things to actually bring it to life. The only reason why we have the ability to do this podcast over live stream right now and stream to people in Facebook is because that one person that had an idea and they believe it was going to work and it did work because we're here today. So that belief system is very powerful. So I don't care if the whole world say, "Oh, it's not going to work." I'm going to go against the whole world and say, "You guys are wrong." I'm going to show you, right? And I'm going to deal with that consequence as it comes. Because we have to understand that if we have the power of belief, we have to understand if it doesn't work or if it might have a chance it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, you deal with that consequence and you go from there. There's a lot of businesses that I started that didn't win. There's a lot of business that I have now that is very successful, right? Outside of just the financial space.
Mm-hmm.
I love doing business with people that failed in multiple different businesses because they understand what it takes to win.
Yeah.
Because there's a level of belief and comeback it takes to say, I went to my family and friends and that was around me and I say, this is the one. And it wasn't the one. You came again and said, this is the one. And it wasn't the one. Then you came and say, this is the one and it started working. You can't stop. So, that's my favorite quality is my belief.
I mean, but again, like how else do you get that belief if you don't stick to it and push through even the failures?
Yeah, my parents gave me that belief. I'm like, if you're gonna do it, you might as well jump off the bridge. I might be able to catch you, or you might need to go and hit your face. And a lot of times, I hit my face.
Yeah.
Hey, we think the parachute is gonna open. Nah, it didn't open this time. It didn't. How do you spawn like this? Like this, like a video game, right? In my mind, how do I spawn back? Like I'm about to jump again, right? Oh, damn, it opened. How do I spawn back? And I just go, oh, it opened this time, and I'm just on another level, and I gotta manage that. And before we go, I want to talk about how important it is to be able to how management is so important. Like people talk about, I need to acquire these things, right? After you acquire it, you have to manage it because every time you become successful, you have to restructure what success means to you, and you have to manage that specific level. So I
Yeah.
focus more on management than I focus more on just acquiring, because you can't acquire anything and sustain anything without understanding the principle of management. So I have to manage our relationship, Tino. I have to manage my relationship with my clients. I have to manage this person I am right now, who I am, its current level, so I could go to the next level. But if I don't manage the next level, then I'm just going to go back to who I was. So management is important. So as advisors come into this business, being able to understand, all right, I'm going to go to the 2.0 version of myself, and I'm going to get to the destination. But there's no destination. People think that this arrive mentality is false. You never really arrive. You just you just hit a milestone
Mm-hmm.
and manage. So yeah, I'll talk about this all day. But I want to keep everything underneath an hour. We had an hour right now. Hopefully, the people that was here get a lot of value of who I am as a person, because what I do, everybody do it. There's a lot of people that do what we do, but who we are
They don't do it how we do it, though.
is what separates you, because they don't do it how we do it based off of who we are. So it was a pleasure, Tino. Thank you so much for allowing me to be on this podcast. And
Yeah, man.
It's an honor to be on this, brother. I really do appreciate it.
Man, I got to tell you, man, I just appreciate the way you just pour your heart out. And again, you talking about relationships, managing relationships, whether it be with professional, whether it be clients, whether it be personal. Because I know even for me, that was something that I had to really sit down, meditate, and pray about. Like all the things that I've asked for, now that I'm coming to get it, do I have the capacity to carry it, hold it, manage it, and do right by the people who are putting their trust and their faith in me? And man, so you were hitting on a lot of the things that I was thinking about this morning, even before we jumped on this. So I know that it's all right place, right time, man. Right place,
Yeah.
right time.
And you do have the capacity. You just have to redefine what you're looking to pursue. Every time you hit the capacity, I need to redefine that. Right? What do I need to accomplish right now? I mean, focus on being that person, that new person. I need to raise that capacity. That's my secret, is to be, do, have. And yeah, thank you, man. I really do appreciate it.
Hey, Kenny, tell them where they could find you, how they could contact you. Because I know somebody's gonna watch this and be like, "Oh, I got to get in touch with them."
Yeah, so I'm actually getting ready to relaunch my CEO Syndicate company. It's going to be a fully self-development company that focuses on helping people becoming the 2.0 version of themselves. So you could add me on Instagram, CEO.syndicate, SYNDICATE. CEO Syndicate on Instagram is where you could find me, and I'm going to actually launch the 2.0 curriculum this weekend, and I have a community. The community is going to call the Competent Connectors.
Ooh, I like that.
Competent Connectors. If you want to be able to be competent in what you do, come connect. Right? It's all about being able to have that high value set of community that have high, not values from a income standpoint, high values from a core value standpoint. Who are you? There's an application. If you're not the person that you need to be part of this community, you won't get inside of the community. So CEO Syndicate, you can find me, and then you can find me on LinkedIn, KenneyEmmanuel.com. And no, KenneyEmmanuel.com. You can find me on there, and then you can find me on LinkedIn at Kenney Emmanuel. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Man, I appreciate you, Kenny. Like, truly, thank you for being on this show, man. You gave me a lot of insight, and you gave a lot of gems and jewels to the people. Man, we got to set this up again, because I know I'm going to get hit up with questions, because you gave little hooks into your story, and I know people are going to want to fish them things out. But hey, that's for another day, another time. Again, everybody watching this, you said CEO.syndicate on Instagram.
Correct.
All right, Kenney Emmanuel on LinkedIn, and then you said KenneyEmmanuel.com, right?
Yeah.
Hey, that's it. That's where to find them. Any last words?
The biggest asset that we're gonna have in life is our relationships. Attain it and manage it.
Hey, that's powerful. Hey, I would say to the people watching, reach out to somebody who you love or want to form a relationship, and just do what you can today. Get 1% better. Manage that relationship. And with that being said, there's been another episode of Legacy Lounge Podcast. We are out. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
We out of here.